Okay, one thing before we start this, I'm literally recording this like the day after I recorded my proper reaction, and that is I actually found out this video is blocked. Like, I knew already it was blocked in some countries and some regions, but it wasn't fully blocked. Luckily I had no strikes or anything, it's also this channel's alright. But I just found out I'm literally the only one who can see this video anyway. I don't know if I want to like just cut out, because the video that got blocked is the intro section when it was the Man stage, which is really sad because it's one of my favourite stages, but because of that the video is completely blocked and stuff, so only I can see it. So for majority of the action I'm probably going to just use the audio and use other videos that probably hopefully won't get me copyrighted, just in case, because I just really don't want to risk anything anymore. But at least I'll have the like original, because that would be good, and this video can still go ahead. But yeah, it just might be a bit crunchy and stuff, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Looking back, I really should have done this right after my Map of the Soul video last year, or even better, after the actual album release when it came out in 2020. But better late than never, I guess. I'm just going to go through my old video and basically react to what I said, see what I got right and see what I got wrong. I watched back this video before making this anyways, just to see what I said and cut out anything I really don't like. And honestly, a lot of my predictions were just what I wanted rather than what I actually think, or any actual like factual good ideas for predictions for the album. But I think they're still reasonable and I still had a lot of fun with it. Just some disclaimers just in case, this is for fun and it's not that serious. I made this 2 years ago before Map of the Soul 7 came out, and my opinions on this stuff has changed a lot since then. I mean, it's 2 years ago now, I've grown a lot since then. This video is my first video actually doing a voiceover or using my voice in it, so I just don't sound confident at all, as I feel like I do now. Nor am I as good as editing my voice in here, because there's just so many pauses and so many things I'm like, God, you should have done another take. But again, this is my first time, so we'll get through it. Let's start. So this is my first time like doing a voiceover over any video, so if it sounds really bad, or if my voice is weird or I speak too quickly, I'm sorry. I kind of wanted to do this just because predicting stuff, I feel like it's really fun. And again, these predictions are just that, predictions, and I'm not speaking into existence. These are not happening. I don't have the power of Jungi. I love that so much, like, you know, Jungi's thing, you know, what Jungi wants, Jungi gets, because of like, he says stuff and then it comes into existence because of their work and like how, you know, the fandom wanting them to also be successful. But yeah, what I said is still correct. Like, these predictions were just predictions at the time. They weren't supposed to be like anything. I wasn't saying this is what it should be, if not it's going to be rubbish. The majority of these are going to be wrong, which kind of makes it more funny. But I really hope there's like at least one thing in here. I think it might be, because I did watch this video, like I said before, watching it just in case. But I think it might be one or two things that I might have been close to, which kind of makes it more exciting. But I find it more funny if I get it wrong. For my first point, I think it would be a good idea to look back on the Map of the Soul Persona and think about its impacts. I do agree with my idea of like looking back at Persona and seeing what they did to maybe be like, oh, this could have influenced, or they might do this, because again, Map of the Soul, Persona and 7 are in the same series. So of course it would be a good idea to look at Persona and what that brought and maybe use that to predict stuff. Again, it is predictions, it's not supposed to mean anything. So obviously the first thing I like to talk about is when Intro Persona dropped. So Persona, when it came along, it was the first taste of BTS's new era. What will they be now? What are they going to do next? And I think Intro Persona is an amazing song to start the era off with. Also, I wish I could have just made this bit shorter. Like, the main points I was getting to is that, you know, it was unexpected. Namjoon had this solo at the start, suggested that the rest of the rap line to get the rest of the, you know, solos or intros or whatever. You know, we didn't know it was interlude and outro at the time. We thought it would be intros again. The vocal line got their intros in the Love Yourself era, so it would make sense for the rap line to get the intros next, and obviously we were right about that. So that's just the main thing I just should have said. With this, sometimes, you know, with this I feel like I went on a bit too long, which is fine. I mean, I do go on tangents about BTS music as much as I can because I love talking about it. Now it's just kind of like, during videos it's like, I also need to get to the point without waffling. That's the main thing. The next song is Boy With Love, and obviously that is the main title track. The title track is the most important song on the album. I think Boy With Love was a very interesting choice for the album. I mean, it's a perfect fit, and it really definitely shows off his kind of joy, kind of like happiness, this kind of
light-heartedness and upbeat feel to the album. You can see it in the choreo, you can see it in the styling, the concepts, and just the mood of the song as well, with the kind of upbeat kind of like...
I definitely haven't changed at all with how I reuse words over and over again, like fun, upbeat, happy, joy, all of those, which is, again, it's fine. You don't have to be like a linguistic genius or have a massive variety in your lexicon just to be like a good, person at doing videos like this. But sometimes I'm just kind of like, I could just extend it a bit further. I use like fresh, upbeat and fun so much still. Sometimes that's literally like the best way, because that's literally what it is. It makes me laugh how I still do that all the time, use those words. Also, Boy of Love definitely has one of the best kind of like centered concepts, like the pink outfits are so cool.
Boy with Love is a direct recall back to the title track of School in Love, Boy in Love, and you see a lot of the motifs from it throughout. You've got the motif or the symbolism of the rose back, which you saw in the video as well. But not only that, I think it was kind of a message to both their old and new fans to show how much they've grown, and to kind of tie in together the old and new fans to this kind of new era, as there's always been kind of conflicts, not so much on like, oh, BTS's music used to be better back in the day, or I prefer BTS's new music, like that kind of argument, if you can call it. So I think this whole album was supposed to branch all that together, to bring some old stuff in it, but also add new elements into it as well.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say I really like how I did point out the motifs of the rose in it, because obviously Jin had the rose in Boy in Love, giving it to the girl in it, and then he has a rose back in this. I do like that, because it obviously calls back to Boy of Love not only in the name but in that imagery as well. Also, it's very interesting how I said like, oh, it's for like to reconnect the old fans and also bring the new fans together over the conflict on like whose music is better. Like, it's not even a debate. I say debate and conflict very loosely in quote marks, because really it's not. It's just like what other people think. I disagree with the fact Iso Apple Soul Persona was supposed to bring all the fans together. No, it's just a good album, really.
Perhaps we'll see a song like this repeated in the next album.
Okay, let me think. Do we have a song like that? Yeah, my first instinct is to go to Louder Than Bombs, because that was such like a unique song. But that's like one of the songs I'm thinking, yeah, it has its own kind of like unique sound to it.
Make It Right. Ooh, it's going to be one of my first unpopular opinions, but she is my least favourite song on the album.
Oh, she's about to get dragged, isn't she? Oh no. Just want a disclaimer, I don't hate Make It Right, but it is my least favourite song of Persona, and I like it, but it's just not one of my favourite songs, I think. I honestly don't think that's an unpopular opinion. But at the same time, it's really hard, because it's like saying Make It Right is my least favourite song of Persona. It's not saying much, because I love Make It Right. People are so black and white when it comes to opinions. People don't understand that something last place you can still love. It just happened to be last place because you like everything else way more. Just compared to the rest of Persona, I just like it the least. That's literally it.
They're very kind of, I don't know any like music jargon or whatever. It's like we're that kind of song where it's like catchily? There's this type of song that's very catchy, you can easily dance to, you get a good vibe from it. Those types of songs.
Very true, I still don't know any music jargon, but what made Home so good was like the just foundation of it, like the beat and the sounds they used were so good. And I think Home is actually one of those songs that actually has grown on me so much since it I loved it when it released. I listened to Persona originally. My top 3 songs were always Dionysus, Microcosmos and True Persona, and then Home was like 4th, I think. But now I think Home is my second favourite song of the whole album.
It is speculated the next album might continue with the units, but I don't think it will be another ballad type song. I think what we had from Jamais Vu was amazing. I'll go into more of the units later, but in terms of ballady songs generally, I think they'll do something like Spring Day or like 2-3, or maybe Hold Me Tight again on the album.
Well, we know we got that one right at least. Yeah, I mean, that's the most obvious prediction though. The fact that we did get Jamais Vu, which is obviously a unit track. It was very obvious that we would get 2 other probably unit tracks as well. If they had 1 unit track, it'd be just a bit weird, but again, it was just so obvious. I mean, Friends was a kind of ballad song, but definitely completely different to Jamais Vu, and it kind of leaned more towards the pop aspect. I mean, We Are Bulletproof the Eternal ballads with some EDM in it, yeah. And obviously I mentioned 2-3, which is one of the first fan songs, and obviously We Are Bulletproof the Eternal is also a fan song, so yeah, I kind of got that right.
How does this link to 7 anyway? Well, 7 is the next instalment in the series and a follow-up to Map of the Soul Persona. So when making the album, they may look at what they should and shouldn't have on the new one by comparing it to Map of the Soul Persona.
I mean, yeah, that's the main thing. Honestly, this Persona section, it literally takes up over like a quarter of the video. This could have been like 10 times shorter. But I could have just said, they looked at Persona and some of the songs, Persona did this, Intro Persona did this, Boy Love did this, Microcosmos did this, and just do that instead of making it 9 minutes long. If I could change one thing about this video, it'd definitely make the Persona section just shorter, because it really should have been shorter. One thing I'd love to ask BTS as a whole is that, why did you make the decision to make Shadow Ego into one album? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I just want to find out because it's really interesting music creative process. How was that made, and what influenced Map of Soul 7, how much did Persona help that, and stuff like that, because it's just I just find it so interesting.
This next point is going to be looking at what we have so far. And what we have so far is the Shadow interlude, obviously a solo of Yoongi, and we have Black Swan, the first single release, and we also kind of have the feel of the album due to the themes and lyrics and recalls in both Black Swan and the Shadow interlude.
Oh yeah, I forgot, I think I recorded this literally the day before Ego came out, so I had no idea, we as a fandom, we had no idea what Ego would be. I think I'll talk about it a bit later. I just want to say that, just in case.
Shadow did sample a part of the intro of Oi Are You Late 2, and also has Oi Are You Late 2 in the video, like the album title in the video, kind of like plastered around. So perhaps we could kind of be going back to the Oi Are You Late 2 era with some key themes of that.
Oh yeah, again, I love that recall back to Oh Are You Late 2. I think it's, again, so interesting. And I think from that, people could defer that Ego would have a reference to Too Cool for School with the intro as well, and obviously we were right.
For the title track, I think they're going to do something completely different, something we've never seen before. So obviously I don't know what that will be. They're going to probably come out with something absolutely amazing. I think it might be kind of closely the same as maybe something like No, or maybe even I Need You, which are, I know, very kind of different.
I mean, I guess because we're talking about On in this section, I mean, we didn't expect On featuring Sia coming, and I don't think we want to see that again. I think On as the whole thing that On is, no one expected, especially with the Kinetic Manifesto video. On is completely different because it's more of a marching band, which has the drums, which makes you have like really cool beat. You can like stamp along and stuff too. Also the dance is amazing, so yeah, I think I was kind of right in that aspect. No, yes, I mean quite literally, because On is literally backwards of No, so yes in that aspect. And I think it has similar themes, and also it does it without having EDM or drop, which is fine. It doesn't matter if you do it or not, as long as you do it good. Also I Need You, yeah, no, I don't know why I put that in there. I think that's just more kind of like wanting I Need You kind of track again. But I think when talking about I Need You, I think more in terms of the music video, because if you haven't watched the director's cut of I Need You, please watch it. Yeah, I think the hyper-realistic is more accurate, because again, Map of the Soul 7 is a very visual album, because it really goes so far in showing BTS's, like a celebration of BTS's artistry. So it would go for more like hyper-realistic concepts rather than kind of keeping it kind of like more down low and like gritty and stuff like that.
For concept photos, when I think of the concept photos, I keep imagining this kind of like thing where it's like mainly like red, like a red background, but they're like mainly dressed in like black or like dark red clothes, with like jewelry or piercings being like the main focal point of that concept photo. Like, it kind of reminds me of the S version of Love Yourself Answer mixed with the O version of Love Yourself Tear.
Can I just say, those are also my two favourite concepts from those respected albums, so again, that's just more wishful thinking of what I want rather than what actually happened. I mean, the dark clothes and kind of jewelry / piercings could be similar to like what happened in version 2. I mean, the version 2 concept photo is literally behind me on the poster, so let me look. Okay, dark clothes, yes. Didn't count the wings in. I mean, I think jewelry, piercings, not really. Kind of, but they always have like jewelry for the accessories and it goes with the outfit anyway, but it's not a focal point. So I think yes, for the dark outfits for version 3 kind of, but that's just more dark in general in terms of lighting. But dark clothes, yeah, for version 2, yeah, I would say I got that right. But again, that's a swing that could be quite easy to hit anyway.
Going on to predicting the songs on the album, a lot of people are speculating there will be solo songs due to when Big Hit posted the previews of the album, what you get into it for the pre-order. The lyric book was like, was it 52 pages long? Which is like long. So with that, it's kind of speculated that this album might be as long or maybe even longer than Wings. So a lot of people are speculating there'll be solo songs on this album.
It is longer than Wings because it added Persona, or the first bit of Persona, onto it. But then you take away Persona out, I think it's like 14, 16 songs, which is, I think, the same length as Wings. So the fact that people said, I think obviously we were right in saying there's solo songs on it, because there are solo songs in it, as we know now. But I think that prediction was, again, right, but that's also because that's what everyone else was saying.
For Namjoon, I think it'll be very soft, something spacey, like an open space, very melancholy. A song like Reflection, like maybe like Tokyo on his mono mixtape, something that you could just kind of listen to like late at night when you're on your own. Not something too harsh, but he'll go like harsh at the end and it'll have really deep and a meaningful lyric.
Why would I think Namjoon would have another solo when he had Persona, because that is his solo, or Map of the Soul series? I could have said that because obviously in the Wings era, Hobie had 2 solos, because he had Intro, Boy Meets Evil, and then he also had Mama. Again, it's fun to speculate, and it's not like I would have been, obviously we know I was really, really wrong now, but again, it's like fun to speculate, and I didn't know at the time, and if you got 2 Namjoon solo songs, I mean, who's gonna say no to that?
For Jin, I just wanted to do a rock ballad so badly. I mean, Jin is amazing with his ballads anyway. You see that with Awake and Epiphany. He really suited that kind of rock mixing genre kind of thing. So I think a kind of rock ballad would be good. So like a nice soft ballad mixed with gentle guitar sounds maybe, but it might just go full ham. Who knows? I just hope we just see Jin do a rock ballad one day. I just want rock Jin.
A rock ballad, you say? Moon is basically a rock ballad, let's be honest. I've always said that when he performed Moon live, I wanted to be with like a live band, because it does have that rock influence in it, and that, so I think I was pretty spot on with this. I think rock ballads with Moon, yeah, that was pretty close, and I feel pretty happy with that, and I'm so happy we got Moon because it's my favourite song of Map of the Soul 7. The fact that I said that and I got it, I feel like, I won it, I got it.
Obviously not something like Shadow, because unless Shadow is his solo on the album, that could be a possibility. But if it's not, I feel like it's going to be something like Sugar's Interlude or Interlude Dream Reality. So much more kind of like mellow, but kind of soft, but very emotional in a way.
Little did we know, Yoongi actually did have a song like that in his repertoire. That was also originally supposed to be Jimin's solo song, but ended up being released on his mixtape later that year. It's People, I'm referring to People.
For Hobie, again, a lot of people are speculating and are thinking he's going to do Ego. I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong. By the time it's posted, you'll probably find out. So again, that might be his solo if he does that.
Yeah, because wasn't at the time people didn't know if it was going to be Hobie or Jungkook, because I mean, I think Hobie was the most obvious because, the rest of the rap line had theirs. It makes sense for him to be next. But I think people also said Jungkook because Euphoria was his solo and Love Yourself. But obviously Euphoria was for Wonder, which wasn't really a comeback. That was just kind of its own thing. Maybe, but obviously we knew it was Hobie in the end, and either way it would have been good, and Euphoria is still amazing and really should get the credit it deserves as well. But yeah, we know it's Hobie and we know he got Ego.
If not, I'm kind of thinking if he does Ego, again, Ego will kind of be dark, deep, kind of more on the edgier side. But I think if he does something, I don't really know what Hobie would do.
Yes, Ego is so edgy, it's so despair, and it makes me so sad, it's so emotional, it makes me feel so many sad thoughts because it's so deep on an emotional level with the lyrics. Gosh, you know the bits where Hobie's in the hospital bed. Gosh, it's so sad when he's jumping around with a smiley face and a smiley shirt on the back, around with like the fireworks and stuff in the background. That's so sad, it's so deep. Yeah, I was so wrong with that. But again, I think it's just because at the time we didn't realise that the Map of the Soul 7 was literally like the split between Shadow, which had a deep, darker tone, whilst Ego was like the complete opposite. We didn't know that at the time, so it just makes me laugh.
Jimin, I don't care. I want another lie so badly.
You remember when I said at like the start that a lot of these predictions just what I wanted? This is what I'm talking about. Lie is my favourite Jimin solo of all time, so I think I just wanted another one like that just because, again, I like Lie.
For Taehyung, I think he's going to do another slow kind of like R&B/jazz number. Like, again, a mix of Singularity and Stigma, but leaning towards more Stigma end.
Again, like I said, Stigma is my favourite Taehyung solo, so I think it's just more wishful thinking rather than what we got. Because obviously, Inner Child is definitely so R&B and slow and mellow. It's so like that. It is the exact same line. Of course it's not. Inner Child is emotional ballad that is just so thoughtful and almost like reminiscent because you're looking back at it, or Taehyung's talking about the inner child in himself, and that is so good. And it's just funny to look back and be like, no, you were just so wrong.
For JK, again, depending on whether he does Ego or not, I feel he'll do a slow but hard and emotional song. I think it will really tug on the heartstrings and will be an opportunity for Jungkook to show off his range and versatility as a vocalist. Something that will be like one of like the biggest songs of that emotion on the album.
Slow and hard and emotional. That is my type. That is basically my time. It is slow. And again, it's just the emotion in it is so good. If you can make a slow song just so powerful with how you're singing it, you're just getting it right. And he did that with My Time. I think I was pretty spot on with this one, actually.
Unit songs. Again, I think it'll be really weird and really incomplete if they don't have another unit song on the Map of Soul 7, considering they had one on Persona. And I think a lot of people are speculating either Minjun or Jimin and Namjoon together, or Taehyung and Yoongi together, or either V and Jimin together, or Namjoon and Yoongi together. However, I feel those pairings are too obvious, and I think it's because Namgi just had All Night on the BTS World soundtrack, and Veeman, you just see Veeman together all the time. I think the units will either be Tae and Namjoon or Yoongi and Jimin.
But you were wrong. You were wrong. Obviously, Veeman, friends, Namgi, respect. Not only Namgi with respect, but we also got Namgi later with Strange as well. It was like, yeah, they're not going to be together because they just had a unit together on All Night. You're like, yeah, All Night's not enough, and the next year you'll literally be getting like 2 others. And that's great because I love Namgi. I mean, I understand where I'm coming from. It's like they might go with like the least or like a completely different pairing this time. I mean, I think any pairings we would have got, it would have been amazing.
So really, to end things off, I think what we need to take from this is to expect the unexpected, and expect nothing and expect anything, because I think if you expect a specific type of song that you want on an album, or something you really want to see and you don't get it in the end, you might not realise it, but you will feel disappointed, and that ruins the experience of the album. And I'm basically kind of contradicting what I just made because it's a prediction video. What I'm saying is, like, take these predictions and ideas with a grain of salt.
That is a very good point. If you go into something having massive expectations, but in reality, like, there was no obvious thing that was indicating that would happen, you might set yourself up for disappointment, and that's basically on you. Like, one example I think of is the WandaVision finale, because throughout there was kind of hints to maybe that like the end of it might be Mephisto or something, and he might be the new big bad in the MCU, and a lot of people were talking about that and hyping it up and stuff, and when that didn't happen, people were like upset and disappointed that didn't happen, even though it never suggested once that was the obvious route at all. There might be references to it, but never like something and be like, oh yeah, Mephisto's definitely this. So it's one of those things where you, with stuff like this, you need to keep your expectations to a certain level. Yes, you could be like, oh, I hope they have this kind of song, or they do this unit, or stuff like that. But if you go in and you have this one expectation of having something and it doesn't happen, you're partly to blame because you set those expectations up. Of course, you're allowed to have expectations for something because you're human, you're allowed to be excited for something. But you also need to know that you can also control how you look forward to something. Basically, don't expect something too much because you might just end up disappointing yourself.
It's just for fun. I'm not saying anything will happen, and like, I'm not saying that me saying this, it'll definitely be on the album. It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, and you can say, why are you making a prediction video, and then saying at the end, like, don't give expectations for yourself. Because I think predictions are supposed to be fun and not really that serious. And obviously some people make them serious because that's what they do. But for me, this is just more kind of fun, like speculating, like let's get like hyped for this album because it's so fun. I wasn't saying this is definitely what's going to happen. This is like, oh, it could happen because here's some evidence or points that I say, or it's just because I just want to see it again one day, but nothing too serious because talking about music is supposed to be fun. But a lot of people just don't see that because they take stuff too seriously. Yeah, that's it. Looking back at it, I think I've like cringed less and less than I thought, which is quite nice because, I mean, this is my first proper voiceover video, so you can just tell how nervous I am half the time. Again, majority of my predictions is just more kind of like very obvious, like yeah, there's going to be other unit songs, or yeah, there's probably going to be solo songs due to how long the preview of the lyric book was. But I think there's some shots in the dark were really good, like talking about what On could have been, or Jin and Jungkook's solo. I think that was like the most one I got pretty correct, which I'm quite happy about. Concept, not really. But yeah, I think 2 years later, I think some of these predictions still stand up, and I think, yeah, I mean, I hope you enjoyed watching this with me again, kind of. I don't know how I'm editing it. This went like way longer than I thought, but it's fun, and I'm really happy that I finally got to watch this. Maple Soul 7 is almost 2 years old, which is really weird because it also means it's been almost 2 years since the pandemic started. And I just hope 2 years later you guys are doing well. But I hope you enjoyed listening and watching to this, because I've had fun watching it despite me cringing at every single editing mistake I've made. But yeah, anyway, see you very soon. Bye!